Well, good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition, this Thursday, April 27th, for Métis Coffee Talk. My name is Keith Henry. I'm the president of the BC Métis Federation, coming to you live from our Vancouver office on this beautiful, beautiful sunny evening. I know we've got our backup band on tonight. I know Renee and Sean from Terrace. How are you doing, Renee?
Good, thanks. We're doing good. I got Sean here and we're ready to go.
Ready to go. Well, I only see Sean's guitar arm there. I'm not sure if he's there or not, but there we go. All right. Hey, Sean. Well, guys, spring has sprung. I'm telling you, in Vancouver, it's gone from being cold and rainy to very hot, plus 20 today. How's it up in Terrace?
It wasn't raining much, but it's still a little cold for this time of year. It's about 5 or 6 at night, and it's too cold for a t-shirt.
Well, that's not the case here in Vancouver. I've gone from being cool and cold to sweating and uncomfortable. So there you go. It's one of those days. Well, guys, why don't we start the show off with one of your favorite middle Métis fiddle tunes? I don't know, or something you want to play for the folks online tonight.
Okay, I got this tune here. I got it from, I believe it was Ryan Kipling off his CD, and he's an excellent Métis fiddle player. And I'll see if I could do some justice on one of his tunes here on G.
Well, great job, Renee. Great job. So what song was that again for everyone watching online?
That's Sunshine Two-Step. Excellent,
Sunshine.
Good Métis tune.
Absolutely. No, 100%. That was great. I think you did it justice. I think your opening
Oh, thank you.
You weren't sure if you would do it justice, but you did a good job on that song. Well, you and Sean, it must have been the backup guitar helped as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Perfect. So you guys, I don't know if you saw this week, but we've got a few updates, important ones for the Federation. So I'm going to jump into some of the information that we did pass along this week, those of our members and our partners and those watching what the Federation is doing. We did release our April newsletter, our monthly newsletter, just this week. And of course, along with just advertising Coffee Talk, the major piece we would let members know was around our new action plan for 2023, 2024. So our fiscal year starts April 1st, so this is our plan that started this month till next March 31st. And I know Renee is our vice president. You're not only a great cultural performer, but you're our vice president. We, as you know, the board approved the plan in February, and we've been fine tuning it and getting the actual public document ready for the last roughly 60 days before we released it. But the action plan is essentially our business plan for the next year. And I just want to say to our members and partners, I will review a bit of it more tonight, but what an important piece of work this is so that everyone kind of understands exactly what we're going to do around member and community support, Métis resurgence. How are we investing money? Our budget is our largest one to date at about roughly 4.4 million overall. And a significant portion of that is created through own source revenues to our act dev work. And I'll explain a bit of that more later, but absolutely a big plan for us. You know, Renee, what's your thoughts on the plan being released? I mean, you were there in February when we approved the plan. Any reaction on your end as vice president of the organization?
Yes, we have. The plan is excellent, but what got me is what was available for the community. Be able to apply for funding to put a festival on, or even anything according, for culture. To me, I think it was great. I think it was about time, and I'm sure happy that we've done it.
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's I'm just going to go into the document a little bit, and then maybe we'll cut to another break. But just so our members know, like, when we talk about the plan itself, the way we measure success for those people that are watching, it's based off what we call sort of key performance indicators. And so in each of these areas, we've tried to identify specific measurable things that we can say to the board, well, we should invest in this because these are the kind of things that are going to get, it's going to take to invest to make those metrics happen. So, without going into too much more than that, I'm just going to quickly touch on some of those performance indicators, specifically member and community support, the very piece you're talking about, Renee. But the plan itself, the business plan, does really outline a lot about those specific areas of Métis resurgence, member and community support, and of course, capacity building. And it does talk about our operational team and the required investments to make all of this happen, right? We want to do as much as we can. It does take resources and funds to do some of these things, of course, right? So in terms of the key performance measures, so we've talked about this in a few other shows for year end, but these are some of the things that we're talking about. So advocating for Métis rights. It's no secret that we've been identifying a legal claim, our legal declaration effort we are taking to the courts. We continue to prepare. We were hoping to file that by the end of April. We're just doing a little bit more due diligence before we file. So that's one of our key performance measures that we are going to take legal action. There's other pieces in here around the Michif language curriculum. And I know Renee is our vice president. You're deeply involved in the Michif language curriculum development. So we're going to continue to produce new educational resources to support the curriculum itself. So we're going to produce 2 more language videos. We're going to create 12 language worksheets, etc. We're also looking at how we're going to continue to research into these items, of course, continue to research into the documentation of the French Michif. And of course, distribute Michif language curriculum and resources is a big part of it. Around the community cultural outreach, we are going to develop a cultural capacity building strategic plan with 5 of our partner communities. The Federation, as a provincial organization, our main office in Vancouver, we work with about roughly 10 local Métis community organizations. So our minimal goal this year is to help 5 of them to create more of a strategic plan around the cultural planning, the Michif language, cultural events, all that kind of work. We're going to develop 40 media resources to support research, of course, department findings. And I'm just touching on some of these, but obviously a big one that Renee talked about. We're providing $5,000 for each of our partner communities to host certain cultural local events. Plus, we're going to sponsor at least 3 larger Métis festivals. We'll provide up to $15,000 per those larger events. And you can see you're hosting 6 Métis women's circle events, pardon me. So Renee, on the $15,000, we both know that to run a larger event, that's never enough money to contribute to that. But I think you as vice president, and you've run a lot of Métis cultural events. I think this is a pretty good injection of support to some of those local events to at least leverage and create and go to other partners and raise some money. And that's the vision we're trying to create, I would think, right?
The 15,000, I think it's definitely, well, not enough, but it'll make a huge difference for the community to be able to apply. And actually, Ali and Jeannie and I'll just read something here. Actually, the last week or 2, we've been actually putting an application together. And with the application package, we are developing an event planning resource to help community with event planning to strengthen your application for funding. Small scale event will be determined at 5,000 limited. Large event will will be determined on 15,000 a year with a maximum of 3 event selection each year. If you would like to access this application, once it's been completed, contact Ali Queenie at bcmétisfederation.com. So pretty soon, I don't know when, it wouldn't take too long. The application will be available for anybody that wants to apply.
Perfect. And those are really tangible examples of how we plan to implement. We're not just cutting checks. We actually have to have a, a bit of a budget and then a work plan with the communities and organizers, right? So that's really important piece on there. Another major area that I think most of our members or those that have been watching Coffee Talk will know, we continue to implement Project Coming Home, which is around building a cultural center here in the Lower Mainland and our partially, of course, potentially in our Vancouver office. So we are working on that. We actually are we're completing the feasibility study. The board will be reviewing the outcome of that feasibility study in May. And we hope that the board will, and the leadership group of the Federation will want to take next steps. In the interim, we're actually continuing to prepare the office in case we plan to implement the full feasibility study to turn a portion of this office into a public cultural center, or Métis cultural center, that is. So these are all the kind of things that are happening. So we're going to continue that work, and the area research. We've been continually posting on our BC Métis Federation Facebook page about a number of research clips. And I always find it funny because some of I call it the traditional Métis gatekeepers, they don't want to hear anything other than Métis or Red River or Métis script from Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, but there is other history in the Pacific Northwest. We're just sharing it to help people understand the narrative of there were other children of the fur trade style communities that have been evolving in the Pacific Northwest. And we're just sharing clips of that. There's a lot more extensive research going on in the background, but a big emphasis for the leadership of the Federation has been around continuing that research. And these are the metrics, if you will, of how we're going to engage that. Just quickly turning over to some of the member and community support. Some of that was touched on in the last area. We're going to continue to grow our membership. But what I think I'm really proud of, and I don't know what these two areas, Renee, how important do you think it is to just provide a bit of support for June 21st National Indigenous Peoples Day, November 16th Louis Riel Day events, December 25th Christmas hampers, and September 13th National Day for Truth and Reconciliation? I mean, to me, those things are really important to provide some additional resources for our partner communities. How do you feel as a cultural leader of the organization for these sort of investments?
Well, to me, it's great. We need to keep we need to keep everybody knowing the history. We got to keep it going. And to me, by having all these celebration and funding for people to do it, like, Christmas for a Hamster Day, anything to do with cultural. And to me, I think it's great that we provided money for that.
Yeah. One of the things that I really appreciate that from Renee, yourself, and the board member, the leadership group, I call them board, but the leadership, elected leaders, we continue to provide administrative funding support of $1,000 per month to each of our active partner communities. They have to be active, up and running, functional boards, meetings. We're one of the only Métis organizations in the country that just provides actual core support. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you times it by 10 a month, that's 100,000 a month, right, for the Federation to come up with those resources. So, we try and find our way to support our communities over and above what you saw in the cultural investment. So, it's another way for us to complement, we're hoping, the work that the local Métis partner communities are doing across the province. So, very important. The last area, just around capacity building, we do need to continue the operations of the Federation. So a lot of this is around how are we going to maintain operations? How are we going to stabilize all these investments for years to come? So, we've got a human resource strategy. We've got a procurement program. This year, we believe we're going to secure at least 1.7 million in procurement revenues. Now, those are our economic development revenues. That is part of the money that gets reinvested, partially to Project Coming Home, partially to research, partially to pay for the team that helps raise the money, and of course, a lot of it into the cultural investments, et cetera. So these are significant and important programs for us. We're going to continue our career services program, industry engagement, coastal conservation. We've talked about that on these previous Métis Coffee Talks. Lots of important opportunities for events coming up and so forth this next year. And we want all of our members to get involved with coastal conservation. health and wellness and office expansion. So we are moving mountains right now on a number of fronts. And, we'll continue communications in our role with the Indigenous Advisory and Monitoring Committee. So all in all, there's a significant number of each of these bullets are what we call a key performance indicator. We've mapped out our board meetings. We've mapped with our AGM. We hope people will join us in Prince George this September 23rd. That'll be our next annual general meeting for members coming in September in a few months. And we'll just hope members get involved. So we are, in terms of administration, one of the metrics this year is we'll be facilitating a new 3-year strategic plan with the board over the next few months. Hopefully we're ready to present a bit of a draft in September, and we'll get members to be engaged in that process as well. So lots of work unfolding outlined in our business plan. All that to say, who is the team? Well, we're going to continue. We know that there's now at the time we wrote this, now Elizabeth Pierce has now been added as an elder on our board. So we've got our board members and Elizabeth Pierce now as an elder on our board. This lists the staff and contractors. Many of our members will be very familiar with who the staff and contractors are. And then finally, what does it take for budget? So what we've forecasted this year internally that we're not going to show all the details online here tonight, but our government investments for programs and services we've applied for, we're going to raise about $2.5 million. Own source revenues, we estimate at least a 1.75. Carry forward from the last fiscal is about 150,000. So our revenues are roughly about 4.4 million, as you can see here. The planned expenses are 4.434. We'll have a small surplus. That's what we plan, that's what we project, and that's what the board has approved. So, we're working towards all those things. And I would just encourage people, if they want to review more of this information, it is on our website. Of course, if you go to our homepage, you can if you look on the main page at the Federation, you will see the actual one of the top titles here around the action plan for 2023-2024. So Renee, I see the sun's coming in on the side of my head there, but any final comments on the action plan or the business plan? I know we do have so we did have some questions online. I am following along online, and there's a question here about what about housing for Métis, disabled, and elders. Yeah, absolutely. I will talk a bit more about that. We don't have a program. We've tried to get a program, and we will be talking about this shortly on Métis Coffee, talk about what we've announced a new housing homelessness project. So we will invite members to provide feedback on that. So Renee, any final thoughts on the action plan and so forth, what you saw here on there so far?
The action plan is excellent, but what I noticed is the resource that was put on for the community. We are community driven, and we need to look after our community and our members and the people that runs it. To me, I think that was great for BCMF to be able to help them.
Perfect. Well, guys, why don't we take a break from the heavy lifting of the action plan? It's a very short overview. I encourage members to have a good, thorough read of it online, and I am following along online for those of you that are watching online. But if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. And no question is inappropriate. We'll try and answer them as best we can. But Renee, why don't we cut to some Métis music? What do you want to play for us?
Okay, I'm going to play. I'll slow it down, and it's called Cajun Waltz.
Great waltz there, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you.
There was a lot of hearts flying there online. A lot of people love the waltz. I'm usually
Well,
more
that's nice,
the fast Orange Blossom Special or Cajun Fiddle or Red River Jig, but that was I guess the crowd has spoken. I saw a lot of love for that song for you.
Good, good. I'm glad.
What song again? What was the name of the song for everyone online?
Cajun Waltz.
Cajun Waltz. There you go. Cajun Fiddle, Cajun Waltz. All right.
Yeah. Cajun Fiddle. Yeah, that could be the next one.
Perfect. Well, you know what? Just because the question came up on homelessness, we know that it's an issue that faces that challenges many of our Métis members. There are members that have unique needs and so forth. I do want to speak. We just launched, as people might have seen today, we announced a new housing homelessness project, and this is we don't have a program around this yet, but what we're hoping is this work leads to a new housing program specific for the Federation members and our partner communities. So we announced a project titled Métis at Home. It was a project funded through the Social Planning and Research Council of BC, so Spark BC. We know that Métis people in BC are some of the most underrepresented and marginalized peoples in BC. Initial incomplete data suggests mixed ancestry people suffer from homelessness and housing insecurity. In year one, this is year one for us, of course, we want to lay the foundation for membership and partner communities to respond to issues or initiatives on housing homelessness by conducting their own community-based research. So we'll be announcing the additional details of the project shortly. What we would say to members tonight, as it's on our site, to keep informed and learn more about our team's current projects and methodology, including terrestrial studies with local researchers to recover lost history and memory of Métis within knowledge partnerships. Have a look at our community-based research portal. You can click on the hyperlink here, or you can reach out to Danielle at d.desjardins@bcmétis.com if you wish to add to be added to a distribution list to keep informed or find ways to participate. So the key here is we know that housing has been an issue. We at the Federation and the leadership group has certainly been advocating for Federation inclusion in a lot of the housing initiatives. And we know that the province has continued to promote their work towards an Indigenous housing solution. There are some organizations that have greatly been able to benefit from some of the initial supports. There are social housing organizations and the strategy within the provincial housing ministry. But we also know that our members have fallen through the cracks. So it's not an ideal outcome right now. We'd like to see more progress, but at least we've now started to make some tangible work towards defining and researching the needs of our members on the housing and homelessness areas. And we know that there's a lot of our members that have those challenges. That's the simple fact of life. So it's, we're going to continue to work on that. We're going to continue to address those items. And of course, we'll hopefully members will get involved, because that is the only way we're going to move this agenda for the Federation and our partner communities. And of course, our eligible BC Métis Federation members. So this is more of an information piece for you tonight that are online. It's around, and of course, it'll be led by our research team. So I would just say again, contact Daniel Desjardins, d.desjardins@bcmétis.com for more information. On another note, we are very, I don't know how to feel about this. I'm sure, Renee, you've seen that we have launched officially now. It was also in the newsletter, the Emergency Assistance Program launched. I do thank the Federation board members. They did approve that we put a certain amount of budget in for an annual investment in what we're calling emergency assistance. So to qualify, you have to be a full BCMF member. You have to have our membership card. You must be active, etc. And it was really identified to really help more around covering additional health expenses, health-related expenses. Could be eye care, prescription care. There's a number of ways that we're seeing our members fall through the cracks where they don't have, where their finances are a challenge, or they're just elders, seniors. They need support. So we've created this program. The board has put aside $100,000 for what we're calling the for all of the applicants. So the idea is, we have some people applying for significant resources, but the truth is the budget for the year is $100,000. And it is basically launched to, we've seen a significant response. So it's in response to the pandemic health related concerns. So along with the increase of cost of living, and it meant that some of our members are struggling to cover these costs. So since announcing the new emergency assistance program, we've received a large number of applicants for help covering health-related expenses. And so we are going to continue to, so what I would just say to people, you can apply. The only way you will get even looked at is if you're a Federation member. You can click the hyperlink. It'll take you to an application process. This is being led on our behalf by Kevin Henry, the Métis Community Health Coordinator, community health at bcmétis.com. Kevin and Drake will be looking at these applications. This will not be approved by Kevin and Drake. What they will do is bring a status blind process to me. I will then in turn put it in the board package, and the board will approve applicants on a status blind basis. Our criteria is it's really quite broad to allow for flexibility in how we can fund members in need, but you do need to go through the emergency assistance program application process. And if you go to the emergency assistance page, it will bring you right to that page. If you want to click on there, you can renew your membership if you're inactive, of course, just to quickly address that. And it's a very simple online application process. We just need to know what it is. Please describe the challenge. Our team reviews these emails and we will address it from there. So we've tried to keep it as simple as possible for our members to apply. But we do need people to make sure that they follow our criteria. And one of those is that you have to be a Federation member. The sad side of this is that I will say to everyone, we are seeing a significant number of applicants. Times are tough for many of our members. Some families are fine, but there is a large financial challenge with many of our members regarding food security, housing security, healthcare security. So we're going to do our best to bring strong recommendations to the board. But we do need to go through the process, and we will go through it. The next intake will be for the board on May 18th is our next board meeting. So you'll see something online soon. Renee, these are one of those things that, you don't want to, you can't just make people dependent on an organization, but the fact is, and I'm sure you see it in Terrace, there are people struggling these days. And I think we'd be naive to pretend that times are easy for some of our members. What are you hearing in Terrace with the membership there?
To me, I think what I'm hearing, it's a great move on the Federation to put some money aside for healthcare. It's excellent. I got quite a bit of feedback, and they thought that was great work on our behalf.
Okay. Do you think there's a high need in particularly the north, I guess, west part of the province, or do you think this would be something that you think is more of an larger urban center like Vancouver, Kelowna, Prince George, Victoria? Like, what's your sort of instincts tell you about being around the Métis community for a long time?
I think the need is pretty well all over, but Vancouver could be more populated. But to me, I think you get a certain age, you need glasses, you need all kinds of Medicare that a lot of them cannot afford it. So to me, I think there'll be quite a few that will apply for it that I noticed.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Renee, you know what? That's another sort of set of topics we've talked about. You've got a lot of people looking for, I did get a question here I think we should ask. Will there be dental coverage for senior Métis women? We never had jobs back then to give us coverage in our senior years. Thanks. I will say that we will look at dental care. You can apply as long as you're a full member. Now, we are getting applications for like several $1,000s, but we really want to see this money at least subsidize as many members as possible. So the short answer is yes, that could be one of the examples of what we could contribute towards. The long answer, though, is we can't pay for everything because it's just simply not affordable. We want to help as many members, and I can tell everyone, we just launched this program a few weeks ago, and we've got just about 50 applicants already. So we know a lot of inquiries. So, yes. So to Laura, yeah, of course you can apply. Make sure you're a full member and make sure that you outline what, the support you need and why. And we'll do our best. We're not trying to create some sort of forensic review or investigation of whether you need it or not. We're taking people on a lot on their word, but we will try and help eye care, dental care, prescription care, maybe food security, if that's an issue as part of health, because healthy food sources are also part of it. So we've tried to keep it as broad to our team as possible, and then they'll bring it to me again, and I bring it to the board on a regular basis. So the key is May 18th is our next meeting, and that's where we will make those decisions then. Okay, And I also, hey, Greg, thanks for joining. So there's need all over the province. So Greg from obviously Kelowna is watching tonight. And the Métis Association of Central Okanagan was talking about how they get calls quite often from folks who have lost housing and need food. And I know that is a big challenge for many of our members. So with that, why don't we just, it's kind of a depressing conversation, but it is reality. We know that. And we'll continue to find ways. I guess my point, Renee, and I think I'm very thankful as president, and I chair our leadership group, as you know, you as vice president, people like, we have many great board members like Louise Lambert, of course, who's also from Kelowna, that since Greg brought up that last comment, they understand the need to try and invest in members where we can afford. We wish we could do more, but I know if there is a lot more need than demand, a lot more demand than what we have in the coffers, we will look at other options maybe down the road, but for now, that's our short-term goal. So, Renee, any final comments on the emergency assistance program or anything you want to say in response to some of the conversation we've been getting tonight?
I think you're right. On the bigger portion, maybe we should help subsidize because we can't help everybody, or we can't only help one and not the rest of them. To me, I think on the bigger part, like you mentioned, maybe we could able to subsidize most of it. So to me, I think that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're getting lots of conversation. Thanks, Cindy. I see Cindy's weighed in, our one of our partner community leaders from Clearwater, obviously on the more towards the Alberta side of the province. But she obviously recognizes that there's just not enough local services, and a lot of our Métis people may or may not even be able to access some of the local Indigenous services, depending on the kind of membership and all that kind of stuff that we're seeing play out. So, but why don't we just cut to some music? Renee, why don't you give us, you and Sean, you want to give us another great fiddle tune? I think it's, let's move on to some new conversation.
Well, you mentioned Cajun fiddle, so let's see.
All right. Great job there, Mr. Vice President. I love that song.
Yeah, it's the most requested fiddle tune, I think.
Well, I can see why. It's got a really catchy tune. I've loved that song all my life. And you're really especially good at it. So I like the way you play that particularly. It's funny, Métis fiddlers, you hear some good ones, but certain songs, some fiddlers are just they have that little extra. That's I find
right. Yeah,
that's a good one for you. That's a good one. Very good one for you. Yeah. I don't know, Sean, what was your take? I mean, we got to get Sean in the show here. I feel like we got to show him more than just the guitar. How are you enjoying getting more involved with some of the Métis fiddle music you're hearing?
I've always enjoyed working with Rennie with his fiddle. I love those fiddle tunes. And I always talk about I play with that Métis fiddle guy, So come on out and listen. And
Renee's the Métis fiddle guy, I guess. Eh?
Yeah, Métis fiddle guy.
To our people watching online, you guys are in your office. I keep forgetting to bring back to, right?
We are yes.
So the Skeena River Métis Community Association headquarters out of downtown Terrace.
Right. There you go. Yeah.
How's that going? I know we interviewed people a few months ago. We know you guys as one of our partner communities. That's the way you're investing your money into, creating a storefront sort of option. How's that going there?
It's actually doing well. It's pretty well all decorated. We're having our board meeting here, so it's excellent. You cannot. We looked out when we signed with VCMF.
Yeah, or we lucked out. I don't know, however you want to call it. But we're so proud of you guys. I know. I just love that you guys do. I I didn't realize that to our listeners. I always thought this was from Renee's house. I didn't realize you were actually, and then when we were up in Terrace
Right.
last month, I was up there and he said, "Oh, by the way, this is where we shoot Coffee Talk." And I saw
Yeah.
the flag, and it's very unassuming the way it's a white background with the flag. I thought it was just a room in your house. So that's great. I'm
right.
glad it
At
makes
one time I had that, yeah, at home.
yeah, you did. Yeah, back
Yeah.
in the day. And
Yeah.
Anna screaming at you to get off the Métis Coffee Talk. Oh well.
Yeah.
Anyways, so guys, so it's we're coming June 21st. That's National Indigenous Peoples Day. Does Skeena River have anything on the horizon that they're thinking about, or maybe what's coming up? I know that you have some cultural events you're planning. Let's let the listeners know tonight. What are you guys planning up in Terrace to help raise awareness of Métis culture over the next few months?
Well, actually, we're planning our music festival. It's going to be August 18th, 19th, and 20th. And actually, it's our 8th year, would have been our 10th year, but we had to slow down for COVID for 3 years. We're actually got most of our band members. 3 bands are from Prince George. The rest of them are locally. Actually, we had a meeting with Jeannie, Allie, Roseanne, and Elizabeth to be able to fill out the application, because we ran a music festival, so we knew what should be on the application, and it went well. Jeannie thought it was great. They got a lot of information from us, and it really worked out.
Well, you've said many times Jeannie, so I'm going to make sure everyone knows on our website about, if you want to look at staff and contractors, the org chart, Jeannie's our director of Michif language, so she's
Right.
helping you a lot put together the actual, some of these cultural sort of programs and application processes. But you also mentioned Allie, and I just want to bring people down to who Allie is. Allie Quinney, we'll get a picture up here. She's newer to the team, but she's the cultural impact coordinator, and her email is aquinney, as you said, at bcmétis.com. So I just wanted to make sure those people that maybe some of the community leaders or partners that want to get in touch or participate or even contribute. Who knows? Maybe someone's watching tonight that wants to also contribute to the work we're doing to help continue to revitalize and stabilize Métis culture for our members in British Columbia. So you've got a great team for sure. And I just say, keep up the great work. And I know there's others that aren't on here that contribute in a voluntary way, but certainly, Renee, you're very lucky to have the team you've got for sure.
Well, actually, without Jeannie or Ali, towards cultural stuff, it'd be impossible to work without them too.
Yeah, it's I've learned that over the years. There's no there's just simply, I know all those cliche sayings. There's no I in team, and there's a reason for that. There's an absolute reason for that. I mean, people can say Keith Henry is a good president or not. I mean, I guess subject to what side of the political fence you're on in the Métis world. But I don't do this exclusively. I have people like yourself, Renee, and a whole leadership group, plus a great team of people. And do we always all agree? Of course not. But we always remain committed to seeing the best outcomes for our members. Now, on that note, I want to showcase 2 things if I can. Well, actually, I've got one really good piece I want to share first before I share this, because I'm very excited about this. Now, I know I'm not supposed to make a big to-do about this yet because it's still to be advised, but in our plan, I'm very, very proud to say to our members tonight that the Federation did get approval for what we're calling the approval for our Spark Youth Employment and Skills Strategy project. So we finally received official approval, as you can see, yesterday's date in an email. So this came from Service Canada. So we finally made a major breakthrough, but we're pleased to inform you that your application for funding has been approved. Your application was assessed in accordance with the Youth Employment and Skills Strategy terms and conditions. And the individual we'll be working with is Mr. David Buckley. So I just want to say to our members, we continue to make headway, not as fast as we'd like in many cases, but we've been around since 2011, and finally more and more we're seeing these kind of approvals. So this is a really important step for us to provide more employment and training support for our members and hopefully our partner communities. Now, in this case, I will be working with our Director of Industry, Greg, of course, Mazur. We've got a youth project we'll be working. It'll be 2 pilot initiatives, potentially 3, but Kelowna and Prince George. And I'll have Greg on the show in the near future to really roll this out properly for members. And this is youth 18 to roughly 30 years of age, where we will be looking for members to apply and be part of. We'll provide a wage. We'll be training. We'll be doing a number of things. So I don't want to give all the details out, but I just want to let our members know this is an $800,000 program, which is contributing to the overall growth of the organization this year. So how do we get to 4.4 roughly million this year? Well, that's one piece of it right there. That was an unexpected. We've been working to try and get Employment and Service Development Canada, or Service Canada, or used to be HRDC, to really invest in our membership processes or invest in our opportunities for our members. So I just want to say congratulations to Greg, the team. We have a lot of work in front of us, and we do plan to implement these 2 new youth, more focused initiatives over the next 8 months or so. We want to be done by December 2023, and that'll be, opportunity for roughly about 30 to 40 younger people to continue to increase their employability skills. So I'll come back to that with Greg in the next month's show once we've ironed out the final details, but that's exciting news for all of us. And we're very proud of that at the Federation for sure. So I see Greg is saying, watch this space for more info. You got that, Greg, because we're going to be flying very fast for opportunities for sure. So that's a really important piece for us. And we're very excited about that. So before I get to the last item on the thing, Renee, do you think we can do another song? We don't have much time left, so I'd like to do another song, information piece, and then wrap up. Okay, so what song are you going to give? You and Sean can help our members get their toes tapping.
Okay, this one here is called Big Bear. It was written by John Arcan, an excellent Métis fiddle player. I'll see if I could remember it.
Another great song there, Renee. That's called Big Bear.
Big Bear, yeah.
And in the month of May, the bears wake up. So watch out for Big Bear.
It's funny you should say Big Bear, because I swear to God, I just came back from Calgary. My son was playing hockey out there at a camp, and I was driving back, and I was coming back through around Salmon Arm, and I saw the biggest black bear walking right alongside the ditch. And I thought, didn't they just come out of hibernation? Shouldn't they be skinny? I found it. I don't think that bear slept this winter. I think he was up all in winter eating, because that was the biggest, fattest black bear I'd ever seen. It just made me think of that. Actually, I was like, it was very, very strange to me to see that at that time. But what do I know? Aren't bears supposed to be skinny in the spring? I thought they were going to be like.
Should be anyway. Yeah, they should be.
Well, that guy's eating something. I don't know what he was eating, but he didn't go without during the winter months. I'm telling you right now. So I don't know. Maybe he's learned a new trick how to survive in the winter den there with a couple of hunters. I don't know. Anyways, so I just want to the last part I want to just share with the folks here tonight. We continue our work in the area of coastal conservation, and I know it's part of our commitment when we worked with industry projects. You know, our members were very adamant around environmental and water protection, you know, whether it's Trans Mountain expansion. So, you know, the work of our Director of Coastal Conservation, Angel Fisher, and her team, they've been doing continual work on helping our members participate in beach cleanups and a number of activities. But they're in the newsletter that I posted earlier in the show. There was a number of events that we'd love to invite members to come out to if you're in these areas. So we just finished one with the Vancouver School Board around sustainability conference. So our team was there providing 2 workshops to a district-wide, I guess, process with grade 10 to 12, zeroing in on a greener future. That was just this past week. Coming up on May 2nd, as you can see here in the newsletter, we will be at the Monk Provincial Park, Nicola Lake. So they'll be taking part in the Trans Mountain Pipeline spill deployment exercise on Nicola Lake. They'll also be doing some small domestic vessel basic safety course on May 3rd. On May 6th, only next weekend, I guess, or so, they'll be in Deep Cove at a spring market. So you can, any of the members watching tonight, you can go to North Van and join them there for a day of fun and environmental awareness at the Deep Cove Spring Market. We're going to have an interactive booth, local artisans, environmentalist greenery, and plants and delicious eats and treats. So certainly get out there. You know, and you can see a series of events. There'll be World Ocean Day and Kitsilano Beach Cleanup that we are organizing on June 8th here in the Lower Mainland in the Vancouver area. I guess Kitsilano side. And then we're doing beach cleanup on June 11th at English Bay. And then September 16th, we'll be doing some more coastal cleanup at Kitsilano Beach again. So these are some of the upcoming events. And of course, there's more than these things, but just to assure our members that we continue to remain committed to what members have asked of us to do as leadership and with our operational team to make sure that we're contributing to I guess environmental and water protection wherever we can and in the capacity that we can do that in. So these are important measures, and it's obviously in partnership with the Coast Guard and Department of Fisheries, Oceans, and you know, several other federal and Indigenous partners along the way. So just wanted to share that information. Now, Renee, we're coming up, getting close to our time here. I think I've lost you again. I'm not sure if there you are. You're back. You're back.
I'm back.
You went black screen on me. Don't leave me, Renee. You scared me. What are you and Sean doing? Playing like some rock, paper, scissors competition over there? But
No, we were just practicing on something new here, and I don't know if I'll play it, but anyway, that's what we were doing.
well, it's funny. I said something about the Black Bears, and Cindy commented saying she's laughing at me, of course. Our Black Bears have been up for about 3 weeks now, and yes, they are huge this year. Like, yeah. So Cindy, tell me why they're huge. I can't understand. I thought they've been sleeping for like several months.
Yeah.
They're eating something. Like where I grew up in Saskatchewan, when bears hibernated and they came out, they were quite thin when they came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, there you go. Anyways, enough of the bear talk. But Renee, why don't we do another fiddle tune, and then maybe we'll just wind up a little earlier today. You know, but what's the one of the last songs you want to play for us before
I'll
we
play one of Reg Bouvet. It's called St. Lawrence Reel.
Well, great job, Renee. Great job. What song was that again for everyone?
St. Lawrence Reel.
St. Lawrence Reel. Well, that's a very traditional make. What was that?
Le Reel de Saint Laurent.
Oh, now we're getting some real French Michif going. So Sean, any final words from you for the show for this week?
Oh, it's been interesting to see the long-term plan for the year. And, yeah, and your funding is very substantial.
Oh, I'm having a hard time hearing you. You're fading out on me.
Very, very impressive to see the amount of your budget.
Yeah, it's come a long ways. When we started this organization in 2011, as many of our followers and people that have joined with us over the years, our first budget, I think, Renee, we sort of laughed, I think at our first annual general meeting in 2012, about, within 18 months of incorporating, I think our first budget was about $16,000 or something like that. So it's yeah, we've come a long ways, and it's nowhere near where some of the Métis organizations are. But you know what the funny thing is, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And it's about, one thing I'm really proud of, like, the work that Renee and you guys are doing, and together on culture, our investments make a difference. And, yeah, do people get paid to do the job? Sure. But they are actually delivering results. And I'm only one voice of a Métis person that has watched many Métis political organizations for many decades just take money and squander it. And I just, it's really tough to raise. And I think our people should never take that for granted, that leadership matters, and how we invest and how we build infrastructure and cultural support should matter. It should matter to all of us. We can't just be apathetic and stand by as millions get poured down the drain of many organizations. It drives me crazy. But thanks for saying that, Sean. Renee, you've been around a lot of years, a Métis veteran, political veteran. Any final thoughts, any words of wisdom you want to share as not only a vice president, but an elder and Métis cultural leader? Any final words you want to leave with everyone this evening?
Well, I think since where we started 10 years ago, we operated on a shoestring. Today, with good leadership, well, we're working hard. I think we came a long ways. And I definitely want to thank Sean for sticking up with me and learning new tunes for Coffee Talk. And it's been great.
Perfect. Well, I want to say thank you, Renee. Thank you, Sean. I did try and answer as many questions as we got. We did have a nice audience on tonight, but, to Laura I think she's from Lummi, she says, nice to attend the virtual event. So thank you, Laura, for joining us. Greg, it's always seeing you guys on here. Cindy, yes, thank you. They wanted me to, if you haven't read the comments, Renee, she said, awesome show. Thank you. Debbie Marion said, thank you. And there's several comments on here. Our friend Earl Belcourt and many others from across the province we're definitely listening in. So with that, we just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us for this Thursday, April 27th. We have our next board meeting, our next leadership meeting, where our board will come up with some new initiatives shortly thereafter. Hopefully, will be May 18th. I would just ask if anyone members have any questions or want to raise any items or bring forward any initiatives to the board, you can email me at Henry, Henry @bcmétis.com, and we'll bring those matters before the board. Other than that, we look forward to seeing you next month, in a month from now, with some more Métis fiddle music and news and stories and updates. And next month, obviously, we'll be speaking a lot more about the full implementation of the youth program. So with that, I'm proud to be the president of the BC Métis Federation. I look forward to talking to all of you next month. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.